Ladies and gentlemen, today we are diving into a psychological battlefield, a place where darkness resides, where manipulation and deceit thrive. We all, at some point, may encounter individuals who seek to harm or control others. These are not merely people who make mistakes. No, these are people who deliberately pursue chaos when they are confronted with truth. So, what happens when they realize that you know, when their lies are exposed and their masks are torn away? I will give you 3 fundamental strategies these people use so you may recognize the signs. Stay vigilant and protect your mind and spirit. The first and perhaps most insidious weapon evil people use when confronted is deflection and deception. When the truth threatens their carefully constructed narrative, they don't simply deny it, they manipulate it. They twist the facts, distort reality, and spin tales so convincing that even the most steadfast mind can falter. This tactic is not just about telling lies, it's about creating an alternate reality in which they are innocent, misunderstood, or even the victim. Their first move is often to shift the blame. If you accuse them of wrongdoing, they will immediately point the finger back at you. You're overreacting, they might say, or you're too sensitive, as if your emotions are the problem rather than their behavior. They may even accuse you of projecting your flaws onto them. It's a clever trick because now, instead of focusing on what they did, you're on the defensive, scrambling to prove that your perception is valid. This distortion of reality doesn't stop there. They will often employ selective truth-telling. They might concede to minor faults or mistakes just enough to seem reasonable, while omitting or denying the deeper, more damaging truths. This creates an illusion of accountability. See, I admitted I was wrong about that small thing. How could I possibly be lying about the rest? It's a subtle psychological trap designed to make you doubt the severity of their actions. Another layer to this strategy is emotional manipulation. If logic and reasoning fail, they will pivot to an emotional appeal. They may feign shock, hurt, or betrayal. "I can't believe you would think that of me," they'll say, with tears in their eyes. The goal here is to make you question your judgment, to make you feel guilty for confronting them. And once guilt sets in, they have already regained control. Gaslighting is their most extreme form of deception. They will deny events that you know occurred, rewrite conversations, or insist that you misinterpreted their intentions. The term gaslighting comes from a play where a husband manipulates his wife into believing she is insane by dimming the lights and insisting nothing has changed. In the same way, these people will erode your confidence in your own perceptions, making you feel isolated and disoriented. If you don't recognize this tactic, it can lead to self-doubt and even psychological distress. At its core, deflection and deception are tools of control. They are designed to create confusion, sap your confidence, and prevent you from holding them accountable. They know that once you begin to question your perception of reality, they have the upper hand. And when truth becomes subjective, manipulation becomes easy. When deception and deflection are not enough to escape the truth, the next weapon that evil people deploy is character assassination. This is not just an attack on your argument or your position, it is an attack on your very identity, your integrity, and your reputation. The goal is simple. If they can make others doubt you, they no longer have to defend their actions or acknowledge the truth. Character assassination begins with subtle insinuations. They may not openly accuse you of wrongdoing at first, but they will plant seeds of doubt in the minds of others. "I'm not sure what's going on with him lately," they'll say in passing, with a concerned tone that suggests something is amiss. Or, "She seems to be under a lot of stress," implying that your behavior is irrational or unstable. These casual remarks are not accidental. They are calculated attempts to erode your credibility before any confrontation takes place. Once the groundwork is laid, they escalate to direct attacks. They might fabricate stories or exaggerate minor flaws to paint you in a negative light. "Did you hear what he said the other day? Totally out of line." Or, "She's been acting erratically for weeks now." Notice how these statements are often vague and difficult to verify. Vagueness is a powerful tool in character assassination because it allows them to make accusations without offering evidence. And without clear evidence to refute, the accusations linger in the minds of others like a stain that cannot be washed away. Another hallmark of this tactic is projection. Evil people will often accuse you of the very behaviors they are guilty of. If they are manipulative, they will call you manipulative. If they are dishonest, they will label you a liar. This serves two purposes. It shifts attention away from their own actions, and it creates confusion. When both sides are accusing each other of the same thing, the truth becomes obscured. To the outside observer, it may seem like just another disagreement rather than a deliberate attempt to tarnish your reputation. These attacks are not confined to private conversations. In the age of social media and public forums, character assassination can be amplified to a much larger audience. They may post cryptic messages or share half-truths designed to sway public perception. Even if they don't mention your name directly, those who are familiar with the situation will understand the implication. Public character assassination is especially damaging because it invites others to join in the criticism, creating a mob mentality that can be difficult to counter. Isolation is another critical element of this strategy. By attacking your character, they hope to alienate you from your support system. They want your friends, family, and colleagues to question your integrity, to distance themselves from you out of fear or doubt. Once you are isolated, you become more vulnerable to their control and manipulation. They understand that a person standing alone is much easier to break than one surrounded by allies. Finally, they will often play the victim to gain sympathy and further discredit you. "I've tried to be patient, but I just can't deal with them anymore," they'll say to others, framing themselves as the reasonable party in an unreasonable conflict. They may even accuse you of attacking them, turning the situation on its head. In this way, they not only damage your reputation, but also position themselves as the moral high ground, making it even harder for you to defend yourself. Character assassination is a psychological warfare tactic that thrives on ambiguity, isolation, and public perception. It is a deliberate effort to strip you of your credibility and leave you vulnerable to further manipulation. When deception and character assassination fail to neutralize you, evil people often resort to their most primitive tool, aggression and intimidation. This is the stage where masks are fully dropped and the true nature of their character comes to the forefront. Their goal is to create a sense of fear and helplessness, using intimidation as a psychological weapon to force compliance. Aggression manifests in many forms. It can be verbal, physical, or psychological. Verbal aggression is often their first choice. They raise their voices, hurl insults, and make cutting remarks designed to belittle and demoralize. They'll tell you, "You'll never win," or "You're making a huge mistake," as if the mere act of confronting them is a fool's errand. This type of verbal onslaught is intended to overwhelm your defenses, make you feel smaller, and prevent you from continuing the confrontation. Psychological intimidation is often more subtle but no less damaging. They may make veiled threats. "You don't want to go down this road," or "I know people who can make things difficult for you." Statements that carry just enough menace to instill fear without being overtly incriminating. These vague threats are deliberately designed to leave you wondering how far they are willing to go, keeping you in a state of anxiety. Physical intimidation is the most blatant form of aggression. While not all will resort to physical tactics, those who do may invade your personal space, use intimidating body language, or even engage in subtle acts of dominance, standing over you, pointing aggressively, or blocking your way. These actions are not random. They are carefully calculated to trigger your fight or flight response, activating your primal fear center and making rational thought more difficult. Manipulators often thrive on unpredictability. One day they may be calm and reasonable, the next a whirlwind of anger and threats. This volatility keeps you on edge, constantly guessing what will happen next. This emotional roller coaster is a control tactic. When you are in a heightened state of fear or anxiety, you are more susceptible to manipulation and more likely to give in to their demands just to restore a sense of peace. Another insidious tactic is the use of public intimidation. They may choose to escalate their aggression in front of others, knowing that public humiliation can be even more effective than private threats. Public aggression is meant to degrade you, strip away your dignity, and make it difficult for you to defend yourself without looking defensive or irrational. It's a psychological trap. If you remain calm, you appear weak. If you retaliate, you risk looking like the aggressor yourself. They may also rely on social intimidation through the use of alliances or enforcers, friends, colleagues, or acquaintances who are either complicit or unaware of the full truth. Everyone agrees with me, they'll claim, even if it's a lie. This mob-like mentality creates the illusion that you are alone in your stance, outnumbered and outpowered. It's a tactic designed to break your spirit by making you feel isolated and unsupported. When they sense that their intimidation tactics are starting to fail, they often double down with escalation. They may increase the frequency or intensity of their aggression, hoping that if they apply enough pressure, you will eventually give in. This escalation is a sign of desperation, but it can also be the most dangerous phase. When someone feels backed into a corner, they may lash out with even greater force, becoming unpredictable and erratic. One of the most devious aspects of intimidation is its cumulative effect. It doesn't rely on a single confrontation. Instead, it wears you down over time. Each insult, each veiled threat, and each act of public degradation adds another layer of fear and anxiety. This gradual erosion of your confidence is what they count on to gain control. Once you've been sufficiently worn down, they believe you'll be too exhausted to resist further. Aggression and intimidation are ultimately tactics of last resort. They are used by people who cannot win through reason, truth, or fairness. They rely on fear as their final weapon, hoping that the sheer force of their presence will be enough to silence opposition and secure their position of power. So what do we do when we recognize these behaviors? We strengthen our minds, we stay grounded in the truth, stand firm in our character, and refuse to be intimidated. Evil people thrive on fear, confusion, and control, but they cannot conquer those who are vigilant, brave, and unyielding. Remember, knowing the truth is powerful, but standing for it despite opposition is transformative. And in the face of darkness, those who stand in the light of truth cannot be overcome. Thank you.